Hi guys, Bolt here, and today we're gonna be diving into the Broken Arrow deck building or army builder system. Now when you dive into the open beta, which releases January 31st at 3:30 PM UK time, you get to play as either Russia or America. Now when you click on Create Battlegroup, you get to combine two specializations. At the moment of the game's development phase, there's only two available. There will be more in the future, but you get to combine two. So for Russia right now, we get to combine a VDV Brigade together with the Guard Tank Brigade. For America, the US Marine Corps and Armor Brigade. So we have already built two battle groups, one for Russia, one for America. And in this one, I just want to give you guys a good foundation to start with. Now, this US battle group has been tweaked by a player that had the third amount or third highest playtime and also KD in the game. So he knows what he's talking about, and together we went through this battle group and fine-tuned it completely. The link for his channel is down in the description, and he is going to post a lot of Broken Arrow, so keep your eye on that. So let's dive into it. Now those points that you saw earlier when you want to create a battle group, those are actually the points that you can spend in each category. So for Recon, the VDV Brigade in the Russian side only gets to spend 750 points. But if you combine it with the Guard Tank Brigade, you add another 750 on top of it. Now you notice that helicopters and aircraft are not adjusted. If we were to also have airborne, that would, logically also go up. With America, it's the same story. So if you look at US Marine Corps, we have 500 recon. If we look at armor, we have 1000 recon. So combined, we get 1500 points that we can spend on that. So it's quite cool and adds another layer of customizability. So let's dive into the US battle group that we have here. And the point of this battle group is to give you guys a flying start when the open beta is live for all of you. It might be live right now. So if you just want a good foundation to start with, just copy it and then adjust it to your liking. But this should definitely give you a good foundation. So on the Recon tab, you can see that we have indeed 1500 points that we can spend, and we have spent exactly 1500 points. And the total points that we can spend on this battle group is 10,000. So we're pretty good with only 60 to spare. So in the Recon tab, it is very important to know what you want to do. Now, Cavalry Scouts have the Javelins. It's a 3-man team. They have 3 M4s and underbarrel grenade. They're really not meant for frontline fighting. They are going to be your eyes on the ground at the front and maybe even behind enemy lines. But they're just good recon units with a Javelin. 1700 meters range, 3-man team, 12 HP and 5 armor. So infantry also has armor points. They have smoke grenades. And they can also sprint, which is one of the new things that this RTS has that other RTS like Warno and or, Steel Division and whatever, they don't have. So on top of running, you can also sprint if you really want to get out of there. So what we do is we can also then pick the vehicle that we want these units to come in, or we can actually just spawn them on foot. But it doesn't mean that they have to be on foot forever, and I'm going to get to that later. So the Cavalry Scouts, we have put them in 3 of these M3A4 CFV Bradleys. We've upgraded everything about it. So the armor package, we went from base armor to Busk 3. And if you notice here, the front armor and side armor are now upgraded quite a bit. There's 2 types of armor on this vehicle. There's high explosive anti-tank armor, and there is kinetic armor. So anything that is solid is mainly stopped by the kinetic armor. Anything that is high explosive anti-tank is going to be stopped by the heat armor, such as RPGs, for example, fired by infantry. So that is really good to know, and that will also determine, or should help you determine, what type of armor you want to use, depending on where you usually use these Bradleys. If you're fighting in like really open areas, if you mainly use them as defensive units, maybe it's not worth spending the extra 20 points, but trust me, it really is, just in general, at this moment of the game's development. So we have 3 or 4 Cavalry Scouts in 3 that we can call in M3A4 CFVs, and we've put 3 of these in here. We have Force Recon. These are really good with the Black Ops loadout, giving them shotguns. You also have the Green Ops loadout, giving them a DMR and AT4. The Black Ops one basically makes these guys amazing at close range, at CQC, and they can clear out an area of enemy infantry in no time. So, but definitely do give it a shot, play with Green Ops, see how they do, but Black Ops, is valid. It's a good loadout to have. Now we put these guys in the Humvee GMV, basically because I had some points extra, otherwise I would have them on foot. And what you can do is call in cavalry scouts, either keep the Bradleys on the field, or sell these, and then call in force recon in the Bradleys, or call them out in other vehicles that you resell, or literally just, you know, put them in any vehicle that has room for infantry. And scout snipers. Now these guys are basically invisible if you turn off the weapons. They will just not be spotted at all. They have sniper rifles. You can also go for the anti-material rifle, enabling you to also fire at vehicles. Now if you look over a weapon, you can see that it can target infantry, it can target vehicles, and it can even target helicopters. If you get the anti-material, you can see that certain stats change. But the M107 obviously is going to be much more powerful. It's a 50 cal versus 7.62, so it's gonna just do immense more damage on especially vehicles, but also infantry. So it really just depends what you want to do. I like to keep them cheap because I just use them as recon, not really as units to take out enemy units with. You can definitely use them for that, but I just try to keep them cheap. Mainly also because we're already at the 1500 points. Now, we also have some vehicle recon. We have the M7A4B Fist. This thing is apparently insane. I really didn't use it that much, but it is quite capable. So armor package, completely upgraded from base, 180 for the sides. Goes all the way up to 120 and 100 for, well, the kinetic stays the same for the side, but the heat armor, we had 400 millimeter protection against incoming heat weapons on the front and the side. So that is actually going to help you a lot against RPGs, for example. And then last but not least, we have IFAV Mark 19s. Just jeeps with a grenade launcher. Send one to either flank and just fast move it. These guys are basically on a one-way trip. They're probably not going to make it, but it's good recon. And it might, put the enemy into panic mode and make them unload somewhere and kind of destabilize their opener. So it's a good way to do that. Now just remember, whenever you're building your deck, vehicles can be sold and they can be repurposed to transport other units. So please don't feel the need to max out the transports for your infantry units. Now speaking of infantry, here is what we have now. And this is a tab that was completely overhauled by Noise Guy, and I do want to thank him for that once again. And let's see what we have here. So we have mech engineers. These guys are really good at taking out infantry, especially with those shotguns. They fire slugs. They're gonna absolutely trash anything. And we have the small D, so you also have some high explosives that you can fire at vehicles and infantry. It's actually heat, so 200mm heat. As you've noticed, with the upgraded armor for the Bradleys, you have 400mm protection. So it is definitely gonna stun some vehicles that have upgraded armor. It might not destroy it really quick, but at least you have something for light armored and medium armored units. Now we bring these in the M2A4 Bradley ESV. This is completely armored, up armored once again. We have the Busk 3 instead of the base armor, putting it up to 400mm heat protection, and the side armor actually also is upgraded by 20mm for kinetic, and the front is also upgraded by 20mm. Now for the protection system, we have the Iron Fist. Now this is a system that basically destroys incoming projectiles before it hits. And what Noise Guy told me that he uses this for is to put it in front of your expensive tanks, so that your 2 Iron Fists, so you can use your Iron Fist twice basically for 2 incoming projectiles. It basically soaks up incoming projectiles, and it probably will destroy 2 of them, and your tank will still be untouched. And on top of that, your tank has its own active protection as well. So this way you kind of have a layered protection going on. So you put these in front of your tanks are further back. These guys are gonna probably just draw all the fire, probably neutralize incoming fire, while your tank is just happily blasting away. So that is the point of these. And on top of that, the Blams also fire at infantry. These will delete infantry. These toes are just, it's a bunker buster apparently, and they are definitely going to bust some infantry apart. Now, besides that, we also upgraded the engine. Because why not? If you look at the speed, it's actually a significant increase from 55 road speed, let's say kilometers per hour, to 70. And that is going to save you a lot of headache when you want to really quickly do something with these Bradleys. Now, we haven't really put in any mech rifles. They're just not doing it. Mech rifles, MMG, they're just not good. For now, the best units to fight with are Marine Raiders. Simple as that. 14-man squads with shotguns and grenade launchers. Now we have the door kicker loadout. You can go for standoff, which is more defensive, I would say, because you get the M110s, 2 of them, together with 2 Mark 84s, 48s. But we went for the door kicker to basically make them Terminator squads. Now you notice that we don't have them in vehicles. And the point of that is the same point that I made previously. These Bradleys, these AAVPs, they can all be sold and repurposed as transports for other units. Now the Marine Raiders are 14-man teams. The Bradleys only can carry 6. But the AAVP can carry 21. So that is one vehicle that you could use to transport the Marine Raiders. But besides that, we also have helicopters. But it really depends on your playstyle as well. If you really don't want to use helicopters to transport your infantry, you might have to get them in trucks. Maybe decrease some other things to make room for the 50 points of the trucks. Or the, the 55 points for the AAVPs. And get the Saber teams perhaps on foot. Because the Saber teams, only being a 4-man squad, they can fit in the Bradleys. So you could call in the mech engineers, sell the Bradley, and then call in the Saber team if you want. Or you can mix and match all of them and put them in a big old helicopter. Now, let's actually first go through the mech rifle AA. This is your only manpad in the game. You don't really have any specialized manpad squads in the US battle group at the moment. But you get Stingers. They're really, really good. You do only have 3 of these. 3 Stinger missiles per squad. So keep supplies close. And we've basically, once again, put them in the Bradleys. We have the M2A4 Bradley, completely up-armored with the Busk 3 reactive armor. We have the Iron Fist once again, and the upgraded engine. So that's 4 Bradleys. That's 8 Bradleys here in total, together with the 2 B-Fists that we have here in the Recon tab, together with the 3 M3A4s that we have here. That is a lot. That is 8, 9, 10, 13 Bradleys that we can call in total. So those 13 Bradleys can form as transport for any other infantry, except when it, exceeds the capacity of a Bradley. On the vehicle tab, we have some tanks. So these are tanks that we want to actively protect with those Iron Fist Bradleys. So we have, first of all, the M1A2 SEP-V3 Trophy. Now this guy is not fully upgraded. We just went for the Trophy Active Defense. If you go for the Tusk 2 armor, it does add more armor, but only for the sides. So does it really matter when you're up against a tank that you usually take on frontally? It doesn't. It is good when you get shot at from the sides by RPGs, for example. But guess what has a lot of tandem ATGMs? Russia. So it's probably gonna go through your heat, go through whatever defenses you might have in terms of armor and still damage you. So we're gonna go for the trophy, and that saves us 30 points as well. Otherwise they become 390 points, and this way we can max out our vehicle tab with this combination as well. Now besides that, we also have the SEP-V2, and basically the same story. We just went for the trophy active system. Now just pay attention to the side armor. The side armor does go up, but the front armor does not with the Tusk 2. So it's basically a side skirt that you get. So is that really worth the 30 points? So these are the things that you should take into consideration. Now besides that, the trophy does have basically a capacity of neutralizing 4 incoming projectiles. And this tank can deploy smoke twice. So you don't just have one smoke screen and after that you're, just left out in the open. You can actually deploy it twice. So it's pretty nice. And we have 4 of these. Then we have 3 M1A1 FEPs. And this one we do upgrade because it's only 20 points for, quite a lot of side armor. And we have a jammer. Now jammer is shown here. Electronic countermeasures. and it's a way to basically decrease the accuracy of incoming projectiles that are locked in on this tank. It's the only type of protection you have, so you might as well have it. And last but not least, we just put this M901A3 in here. It basically has toe 2s. You might as well have it, because we only had 65 points of space left, so we just went for this. LAVAT would have been better, but it's 5 points too expensive, and you can even upgrade this a bit more with better armor, with smoke, so it's actually a really cool unit. You could get your hands on this if you just remove a tank, perhaps get some LAVATs in there, and you can actually almost get 3. That is you have to do like a little bit of, yeah, there you go. You can get 3 LAVATs if you want. But having a lot of tanks is actually really useful, so, but we can just give this a shot as well. So on the support tab, now this is something that I definitely needed some help with. Because my AA performance has been relatively weak. But hopefully with this, I have tested it kind of in this composition, or combination, and it has been really good. So we'll see how it goes in the multiplayer. So we have Patriots. Now these Patriots, normally they have 2 missiles. We upgraded it to have 4 missiles. We also have an armor package that we can get. For extra 5 points, it increases the survivability a little bit. It's not gonna stop, you know, big old missile of destroying it. But mortar rounds, you might just survive and get out of there. But might as well. We have 2 of those. Next up, we have 3 LAVADs with stingers. And we have upgraded these guys to also have smoke and slightly better armor as well. Now these guys are also amphibious. They can be airdropped, which is really cool. They have a smoke launcher, they have the GAU 12, they have stingers. It is absolutely insane, and on top of that, they are fast. They are really fast. So it's really good to have these in your battle groups. Now that together with the Shorad, and apparently the Shorad is absolutely crazy. I have used it a couple times, but I dropped it to test other units. But you can put Hellfires on these, which also target helicopters. Isn't that insane? Hellfires that target helicopters at 1800 meters range. That is just nuts. So put Shorads in there, take as many as you can. That is the bottom line of that one. So you can also get the linebacker one, which is basically just the Bushmaster and stingers. You can get the Shorad one, which is the 30mm and stingers, or you can get the M6A4M Shorad instead of the M6A3 and actually get Hellfires. Armor package, you can go for base armor to Busk 3, which increases your kinetic and gives you heat armor as well. We have 4 of those. And the cool thing about these guys is, because they have radar, and this is Noise Guy telling me how he uses it. He uses it in front of the front line, well, at the front line, close to the front line, with the radar turned on. And then further back you have your Patriots, with radar turned on as well. So these Shorads will eat the incoming anti-radiation missiles that the enemy uses to hunt down your radar AA, and then your Patriots can just have a go at it. And sometimes the Shorads will survive, because they're quite armored. So it's a really good bait, together with being a really good anti-infantry and vehicle and helicopter unit. So in combination, that is quite a deadly blend. Then we have 1 Paladin. Now, Paladins come in 2 loadouts. You have the high explosive rounds, which brings with it the Excalibur rounds, which are laser designated, or laser guided rounds. So you can have your recon snipers, for example, laser designate targets, or the B-Fist laser designate targets. Anything with that laser designation icon can do that. And then you can fire your laser guided Excalibur to that target with pinpoint accuracy. Now, I'm gonna try the cluster one, because I feel like artillery is quite accurate as it is. And I want to really see how the cluster does, because cluster, besides being deadly for armor, also stuns and panics armor quite a bit. So it might be worth putting these in your deck. Now last but not least, we have supply trucks. We have 2 of these big boys, the LVSRs, to ferry up to 15,000 supplies to the front line. It's quite insane. Now in the helicopter tab, it's quite simple, to be honest. We have Super Stallions to carry a lot of supplies, but also men and vehicles to the front line. So you can have up to 30 soldiers in this helicopter. Up to 14,500 just cargo, like supplies. So you could mix and match. You could put infantry in here, put an LAV in there, and some supplies, like an LAV AD for example. A couple of squads of infantry, maybe 1 or 2. And together with a little bit of supplies, and you basically have kind of a Swiss knife on the front line. Now besides that, we have Venoms. These are transport helicopters that we have also put some rockets on. 2 of these Hydra rocket pods, 7 on each side. Just to have, they're super cheap. They can also transport infantry. They have 8 seats, so most squads will fit in there except for the Marine Raiders. And besides that, these can also transport supplies to the front, because they actually have a capacity here. And then we have Super Cobras, and we've put Hydra rockets and 2 Sidewinders on this. Now the Sidewinders, the AIM-9s, outrange most, if not all, kind of short-range anti-air that the Russian side has, especially the man-portable ones. So these are really, really deadly, and they're also perfect bait for enemy aircraft that they can actually shoot down themselves if they're lucky with the Sidewinders. They're really, really good. Now we also have the Hydra rockets, just for some lightly armored units, and on top of that you have the 20mm to fight with. 2 of these for 125 points each. They are going to be a high priority target that is highly effective when used right. Now besides that, we also have a Viper. And the Viper that we have combined or customized has 8 Hellfires on the inner pylons. The outer pylons we left empty so that we could put Sidewinders on the wingtips. So now we have 2 helicopters, or 3 helicopters total, with 2 Sidewinders each, and one of them actually has Hellfires, just in case there's like an armored column coming up. Now you can mix and match whatever you want. It kind of depends on what you want to try. So you could get less Venoms, 1 less Super Cobra, maybe put some Ospreys in there, which definitely has a lot of capacity for soldiers. But it all kind of, depends on what you want to do. But this is definitely a good foundation to start with. Now last but not least, we have the air tab. We have F-35s. Now initially I had Stormbreakers, 6 of them. Basically meaning, well, these are really accurate bombs. So what you do with this plane is you call it in, you press P for protection 6 times, because we have 6 Stormbreakers, and then you can click 6 times on the map, and then it'll fire 1 Stormbreaker to each target. Or if you clicked 6 times on the same target, it's gonna fire all of them at the same target. And these are also laser guided, so you can guide these Stormbreakers to the target, which is amazing. And that way it'll be pinpoint accuracy, and it's definitely going to destroy that unit. We have 2 of these. On top of that, the F-35, obviously very stealthy, hard to spot. It can even laser designate itself, so just a no-brainer. And on top of that, it always comes with 2 MRAMs, so it always has some long-range anti-air capabilities. Besides that, we have the F/A-18C Hornet. We left the fuselage at the top empty. We have put 2 MRAMs on the inner pylons, and then the outer pylons we keep empty. And on top of that, it has 2 Sidewinders that it comes with stock. So we have 2 long range, 2 close range anti-air. Now, it's quite cheap as well, and you really want to think of the cost of this unit. If I were to go completely crazy and put MRAMs everywhere, it's already 305 points. And that might not be a good investment. You just want to fly in these planes, scare off the enemy planes, maybe hit them once, if you're lucky hit them twice and take them out. But the point of this unit in my hands is to get rid of the enemy planes and send them back home. And last but not least, we have the Prowler, which is our anti-AA plane. This guy comes with the HARM missiles, which is anti-radiation missiles. Basically, they seek the radar radiation from enemy radar AA if the radar is turned on, and the missile is just gonna home in on that target and destroy it. And we've gone for a combination that includes a fuel tank for additional fly time, together with 1 HARM, which is the anti-radiation missile, on the inner pylons. And on the outer pylons we have 1 ECM pod, which helps you with your countermeasures. and another seed missile. So we have 2 seed missiles, we have 1 extra fuel tank, and an ECM pod to basically increase our survivability. Now besides that, you can definitely go for planes like the C-130 if you want to airdrop targets in, but if you're up against capable players, this is going to get shot down immediately. You can also go for a completely ballistic air superiority fighter, such as the FA-18D Hornet, and you can just pimp this thing out to the max. You can put AMRAAMs on it, you can put Mavericks on it, Snake Eye bombs, fire bombs, so napalm, together with 2-ton Mark 84s. You can customize it to whatever you would like to do, but this is kind of a customization that is easy to understand, where you have a stealthy bomber that you can put Stormbreakers and Jace House, which are basically big glide bombers. You can have a Hornet, which is good for scaring off planes, and then you have a Prowler, which is good for taking out Raider AA that might be turned on. And the cool thing about planes is you can change the altitude, and this is true for also helicopters. You could fly the Prowler at a relatively low altitude or high altitude, fire the seed missile, and then dip down to get out of its line of sight. And that way you can survive or increase the survivability of your plane. So that is pretty much it for the American deck that I have as of now, that I will be playing with when the open beta hits. So I do hope that this kind of gives you an idea of what you can do, and hopefully prepares you for all the fun that you're gonna have in this multiplayer open beta. That said, if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe, like the video, check out Noise Guy because he's gonna be posting a lot, and he's definitely better than me at this game. And I'll see you guys back in the next one. Take care.